Pryderi fab Pwyll is a prominent figure in Welsh mythology, the son of Pwyll and Rhiannon, and king of Dyfed after his father's death. He is the only character to appear in all four branches of the Mabinogi, although the size of his role varies from tale to tale. He is often equated with the divine son figure of Mabon ap Modron, while Jeffrey Gantz compares him to Peredur fab Efrawg, who is himself associated with the continental figure of Sir Percival de Galles.Ifor. Williams speculated that he was once the focal character of the Mabinogi as a whole, although some subsequent scholars disagree with this theory. Pryderi is described by Jeffrey Gantz as bold and enterprising, but rash to the point of foolishness. Quote, he goes on to say that his downfall, while pathetic, is not entirely undeserved. Role in Welsh mythology. Birth and early life. Pryderi was born in birth to Pwyll, Lord of Dyfed, and Rhiannon, daughter of He fair hen. On the night of his birth, he disappeared while in the care of 6 of Rhiannon's ladies-in-waiting. To avoid the king's wrath, they smeared dog's blood onto a sleeping Rhiannon, claiming that she had committed infanticide and cannibalism through eating her child. Tenon, Lord of Gwent, is co-ed, had a mare who gave birth each year but whose foals had all disappeared. Tenon watched his stables and saw a mysterious clawed beast coming to take the foal. Tenon cut off the beast's arm and found the child outside the stable. He and his wife claimed the boy as their own and named him Jeffrey Urine, for all the hair was as yellow as gold. The child grew to adulthood at a superhuman pace, and, as he matured, his likeness to Pwyll grew more obvious, and, eventually, Tenon realized Jeffrey's true identity. The boy was eventually reconciled with Pwyll and Rhiannon and was renamed Pryderi. From then on, he was fostered by Peredur and Dyfed and was brought up carefully, as was proper, until he was the most handsome lad, and the fairest, and the most accomplished at every worthy feat in the kingdom. Following his father's death, Pryderi became ruler of the 7 cantrefs of Dyfed and set about expanding his territories by conquering Ystradtwi and Ceredigion. He was occupied with this conquest until he chose to take a wife, eventually marrying Sigfa, the daughter of Gwyngo. He also succeeded in amalgamating the 7 cantrefs of Morgannwg into his kingdom, although the conquest itself is not referenced in any texts. The assembly of Branwen and Matholch. Branwen, sister of Bendigeidfran, king of Britain, is given in marriage to Matholch, king of Ireland. Branwen's half-brother Efnisian, angry that he was not consulted, insults Matholch by mutilating his horses, but Bendigeidfran gives him compensation in the form of new horses and treasure, including a magical cauldron which can restore the dead to life. After returning to Ireland, Matholch and Branwen have a son, Gwen. But Efnisian's insult continues to rankle among the Irish, and Branwen is banished to the kitchen and beaten every day. Branwen trains a starling to take a message to Bendigeidfran, who raises a vast host and goes to war against Ireland. Pryderi accompanies him. The British army crosses the Irish Sea in ships, but Bendigeidfran is so huge he wades across. The Irish offer to make peace and build a house big enough to entertain Bendigeidfran, but hang 100 bags inside, supposedly containing flour but actually containing armed warriors. Efnisian, suspecting a trick, reconnoiters the hall and kills the warriors by crushing the heads inside the bags. Later, at the feast, Efnisian, again feeling insulted, throws Gwen on the fire and fighting breaks out. Seeing that the Irish are using the cauldron to revive the dead, Efnisian hides among the corpses and destroys the cauldron, sacrificing himself in the process. Pryderi is one of only 7 men to survive the violent battle. He and his companions are told by the mortally wounded Bendigeidfran to cut off his head and to return it to Britain. The survivors stay in Harlech, where they are entertained by Bendigeidfran's head, which continues to speak. They later move on to Wales, where they live for 80 years without perceiving the passing of time. Eventually, Hywelyn ap Gwyn opens the door of the hall facing Cornwall, and the sorrow of what had befallen them returns. As instructed, they take the now silent head to the Gwynfryn, the White Hill, where they bury it facing France so as to ward off invasion. Return to Britain, Pryderi invites Manawydan, Bendigeidfran's brother and a fellow survivor, to live with him in Dyfed, arranging for him to marry his widowed mother Rhiannon. Soon after, Pryderi, Sigfur, Manawydan and Rhiannon ascend a magical hill, and when they descend, Dyfed had turned into a barren wasteland with no inhabitants. Pryderi and Manawydan traveled to England to make a living from various trades, but were forced to leave one town after another to avoid conflicts with other tradesmen who resented their superior skills. Returning to Dyfed, Manawydan and Pryderi go hunting, and, coming across a white boar, follow it to a huge towering fort. Against Manawydan's advice, Pryderi enters the fort and is drawn towards a beautiful golden bowl. Upon touching the bowl, his feet stick to the floor, his hands stick to the bowl, and he loses the power of speech. Manawydan waits in vain for his return before giving news of his disappearance to Rhiannon. Chiding her husband for his poor companionship, Rhiannon too enters the fort and suffers the same fate as her son. In their blanket of mist, Pryderi, Rhiannon and the fort itself vanish. Some time later, Manawydan's cunning frees them from their imprisonment. It is revealed that the catalyst of the suffering was the enchanter Clwyd ap Cilcoed, who sought revenge for the humiliation of his friend Gwawl ap Clwyd at the hands of Pwyll and Rhiannon. The enchantment over Dyfed is lifted. Invasion of Gwynedd and death. Some time later, Pryderi receives a number of otherworldly pigs from his father's old ally, Aron, king of Annwn, which are stolen through trickery by Gwydion, a Vanid-Ocean magician and warrior. Declaring war on Gwynedd, Pryderi and his men march north and fight a battle between Man or Benard and Man or Coed Allen. Both sides suffer heavy losses, but Mathabmathonwy, king of Gwynedd, is victorious and Pryderi is forced to retreat. He is pursued to Nantcall, where more of his men are slaughtered, and then to Dol Ben Meon, where he suffers a third defeat. To avoid further bloodshed, it is agreed that the outcome of the battle should be decided by single combat between Gwydion and Pryderi. The two contenders meet at a place called Pwyll and Rhiannon, and because of strength and valor and magic and enchantment, Gwydion triumphs and Pryderi is killed. The men of Dyfed retreat back to their own land, lamenting over the death of the Lord. Appearances in other texts. The Welsh triads name Pryderi as one of the 3 powerful swineherds of the island of Britain, referring to an occasion on which he guarded the pigs of his foster father, Peredur and Dyfed at Glencaich. An obscure reference is also made of Pryderi and his father in the cryptic early medieval poem Pwyll Bwcaewyr Carchagwyr yg Carcdtrwyr Bostel Pwyll a Pryderi. Nebkynocfnytethidi. Year Gadwyn Trom Lascaiwer Wisacat y. Arac Predu an Orphantost Whitey Geni. Ac Whitey Urort Parahort yn Bardwidi. This section of the poem suggests an enmity between Pryderi and a certain Gwir ap Gwystal, who has been imprisoned in an otherworldly fortress through the Erbystal of Pwyll and Pryderi. The exact meaning of the word Erbystal is unclear, but has been variously translated as epistle, tales, account, spite, and eyes. Pryderi is named once in the Welsh triads as one of the 3 powerful swineherds, while while the stanzas of the graves refer to his final resting place as Abergwenoli, where the waves beat against the land. The Book of Taliesin poem sung before the sons of Llŷr also mentions Pryderi and, as in other texts, associates him both with Manawydan and Fab Llŷr and with the otherworldly fortress of Caercydi, complete as my chair in Caercydi. No one will be afflicted with disease or old age that may be in it. It is known to Manawyd and Pryderi. 3 utterances. Around the fire will he sing before it, and around its borders of the streams of the ocean, and the fruitful fountain is above it, is sweeter than white wine the liquor therein. The character is also referred to in the works of a number of bards, including Einion Fab Gwalgmai and Pwyll ap Gruffudd and Syndaf Brydethmawr. The famous 14th-century poet Dyfed ap Gwilym referred to Dyfed as Pryderi dir. The children's fantasy series The Chronicles of Pryderi features a character named King Pryderi, though his resemblance to the mythological character is not particularly striking.